Good afternoon and welcome to Powered by Authenticity. I'm happy to have you back this week. And this week I am joined by Stephanie Peete. Stephanie and I met at a Tech Buffalo event. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, as soon as I met you, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to get Stephanie on this podcast. So Stephanie, I know you're the director of workforce development at Say Yes, and then also I believe co-owner of Second Chapter Bookstore
Yes.
in Buffalo. So I'm so happy to have another Buffalo girl on the podcast. And then also just a quick welcome to producer Ken. Ken, I hope you're doing well today.
Hello, hello.
Stephanie, would you like to do a quick intro? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, just
Sure.
a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, so I'm actually Buffalo born and raised. I thought I was going to leave after college and I didn't. So yeah, I'm a product of the Buffalo Public Schools. I graduated from City Honors, went to Canisius for undergrad and eventually Hilbert for graduate school. My background is largely like case management, child welfare, a lot of nonprofit work. And still that's what I'm doing, but now focus more on workforce development and very employer facing, which was not on my bingo card ever for life, but it kind of happened that way. And I actually love this work. Very passionate about the youth in our community and really ensuring that there is more equity and more access to opportunities. And you mentioned that I have a bookstore. That's a passion project that I launched with my mom, who is a retired teacher. She used to make me read as a kid. Like she thought I was lying a lot, so she would make me write a book report every week. So like reading was highly prioritized in my family. When she retired, she is actually the one who decided that we were going to go forward with this idea I had for a bookstore. So that is what I do.
That's amazing. And I know that I believe anyways, you did a recent fundraiser around the May 14th anniversary as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Jillian Hainsworth, the poet laureate for the city, she actually reached out to do a free pop-up, like a bookstore in honor or in remembrance of 514. So we donated some new books, and there was like a little setup, like a little bookstore on the street for people to come and get brand new books for themselves and their children.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, as we're all local here, I thought we'd start with kind of a fun little question. After you did that great background, what's something that you love about Buffalo in the summer?
I love going out to eat, like but not just like just any old place. Like I love a really good dining experience. So like great food, great customer service, great atmosphere. So I love patio dining when it's warm because we can't do it for too much in the city. You know, we only have a couple of months. So like I love a good patio, like good drink, good meal, good friends. And that's my favorite thing to do when it gets warm.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have a favorite?
Ooh, I have a lot of favorite restaurants. The one I'll give a shout out to the Dapper Goose. I went there recently. The best burger I ever had in my life, and great service. It was wonderful.
Amazing. Dapper Goose. I've never even heard of it. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's on Amherst near Wegmans
All right.
over in Black Rock. Yeah, fantastic. Highly recommend.
All right. I'm gonna have to look that up. Ken, what about yourself? What's something you love to do in our Buffalo community in the summer?
Oh, she kind of beat me to it with the outdoor dining areas. You gotta love it. All the different restaurants and breweries and everywhere that'll just open up the patios. Like you go over to Hartman's Distilling, they have the doors open and everything. I know that's great. And also Bison's games, being able to go to those.
Yeah, the Bison games have been a lot of fun. I love anything on the water, so I think
Nice.
dining and boating, and we just have, I think, locally some great options as far as going to smaller lakes or hitting up Lake Erie for the larger experience, but that's awesome. We get so little outdoor time where it's warm. So
Yes.
yeah. Well, Stephanie, tell me a little bit about Say Yes Buffalo, about its community purpose and kind of the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, so we are a private partner, a public-private partnership. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary last year, and we started off with a college promise. So students who graduate from Buffalo Public and charter high schools and live in the city of Buffalo have access to our last dollar tuition scholarship. So that covers all of SUNY, CUNY, and then we have over 100 partner colleges throughout the country who are part of our pact. We realized pretty quickly that there needed to be some wraparound supports to really address the barriers that a lot of our students and families face in this community. So we now have 17 unique wraparound supports and services to really help our kids and their families get to graduate from high school and really be able to access and persist through post-secondary education. And our motto, we internally refer to it as cradle to career. So we have supports from early childhood all the way to workforce development, which is what I'm doing now. And it's a really great organization, tons of great programming. We're, last time I checked, 175 people strong. We may have had some new hires since then, so we've been growing like crazy. But it's a really amazing organization and incredible group of people.
Yeah, I honestly, until we met at that Tech Buffalo brainstorming breakfast, I had not been familiar with Say Yes and its purpose, and I was, really intrigued around what you're doing in the community because I think there's just such a need for it and a way to support our younger generation, as part of not only high school, but then how do you move on to post-secondary and, just really the support that has been lacking. So I think that's great. Do you have like coaching and mentoring? Are those some of the wraparound support that you have?
Yeah, so we have a couple of mentoring programs. We have one that helps high school seniors transition to college their first year, just knowing that a lot of our kids are first gen. So having someone in the community who has gone through it and can help them, get acclimated. That first year of college is rough for a lot of young people, especially if maybe you don't have natural supports to help you through it. We have a near peer mentoring program where some of our scholars in college go back to their high schools and help their former peers, I guess you could say, help them with like applying for financial aid and helping them through, all the steps to applying for college. And there's also our Boys and Men of Color initiative, where there is some mentoring that happens within that program as well. So they're working with young men on leadership development. They do a lot of work around policy and advocacy for young men of color. And then our coaching happens through our youth apprenticeship work. So we have career coaches embedded in 6 Buffalo public high schools who are recruiting young people to apply for our apprenticeship program. So there's a lot of coaching around, how to apply and interviewing skills and things like that. And then we have a success coach that works with our apprentices throughout their journey. So we try to think of everything that young people might need to be successful, whether it be education or in their career.
Have you seen an increase at all in the need for programs like this? I feel like, where we are just in 2023, looking at some of the other trends from a corporate perspective, I can only imagine how that transfers down to high school students and needing that support. So have you seen an increase in need for these types of services over even just the past 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of our families never bounced back from COVID. A lot of people suffered financially. And some of our kids have had to step up and help take care of, their household. And are looking for quicker ways to access the workforce, which is why we developed this program. So just to put some perspective to that, so last year we were hiring for about 50 roles, and we had 200 students submit over 1,200 applications.
Oh, wow.
Meaning some of them applied to every single role that we had. So the need is definitely there. And a lot of young people, they want to work, they want good careers, they want to be able to take care of themselves and their family. So there's definitely a huge need for it.
Yeah, that's quite the uptick in need.
Yeah.
I did read an article, I think that you helped to write in the Buffalo News recently. I think it was in April, just talking about the different ways that employers could, interact with younger people as well. I love some of your ideas about even employers dressing, more casually and coming to interviews. So that was more of a peer level. So, in supporting the kids, what types of conversations are you having with employers out there to help support the youth getting those apprenticeship positions?
Yeah, so my colleague Johanna actually had that idea of like everybody just dressing down, which made it so much easier. It made it feel less intimidating.
Yep.
But we talked to employers about, calling students when they'll actually be able to answer and just being more flexible. Sometimes I think as adults, we're so used to a sense of urgency about everything, but with kids, it's not that they don't want the opportunities, but there's a lot going on, and just being more flexible about when they can call you back and when you hold interviews, and meeting kids where they are. If you're really far out, could you possibly meet them halfway or do a virtual interview? Just trying to think of yourself we all have different perspectives and different experiences, but just trying to even put yourself back into being a teenager and just providing the support and the grace that you would have wanted when you were younger.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming more and more important, I think, that we look at hiring practices as a whole to help support the advancement of everyone either entering the workforce, a midlife change, focusing on the youth perspective. I think we definitely need to look at ways to engage youth into those positions. We at some point are going to need people to staff certain roles and certain careers that if we don't get creative about the way we're recruiting, I think we're going to have a detriment to some of the career paths that have needs now, but are going to have, advanced needs in the future when retirement happens with some of the current employers. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, we talk a lot about mentoring because this is, our apprentices and our young people, they're just not entering the workforce, they're entering adulthood. There's just a lot that they're dealing with at one time. And, as an employer, just expecting them to just come in, learn the job and do the job. It's not really setting anyone up for success. Like finding who's going to be the supportive supervisor, who can be a really great mentor, and then not just those people supporting the young people, but how are you as an employer, how are you supporting that supervisor and that mentor who's providing that support for the kid? You have to think of all these levels of support and how you can really create an atmosphere for young people to come, feel supported, feel that they can do the work and like they're part of your team. It takes a different approach than when you're recruiting folks out of college or older.
Yep. And I think I've spoken in the past about the benefits of the reverse mentoring, so that if you're serving as a coach and you're serving as a mentor, there's things that you should be taking away from that experience as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I think that people, if they take also the opportunity, just take a step back and say, okay, I'm also going to get so much out of this,
Right.
that it also helps.
Yeah. And I think also just being aware of I don't want to say limitations, but just being aware of who you are and who your organization is and understanding where there might be some opportunities to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So our young people coming from the school district, over 80% of them identify as young people of color. And there are over 80 languages spoken in our district. So
Oh, wow.
we have this, yeah. I thought that was a lot until we went to a conference in Houston recently, and they have over 150 languages spoken in their district. I can't even imagine 150 languages.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, so yeah, we thought we were super diverse, but they got to speak. But anyway, so just knowing that and knowing that a lot of our workplaces just don't look like that. So also including, intention around learning how to support young people of color, putting policies and procedures into place that will help them succeed and really take, a hard look at, you and your workplace and understanding what you need to do in order to really create that talent pipeline is very important. Because, what worked 20 years ago isn't working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, for many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds so like personal for you, and you're doing such great work in our community. Was this just it's a passion of yours based on your background? How did you come to, say yes Buffalo, and the career path that you're in with supporting youth now?
Yeah, so I actually came to CS and it was still a startup. I had a former colleague at another organization tell me about it. She's like, you should apply. And I was like, I don't know what this is. So I did and got hired, which was great. I started in the schools doing preventive services with families who had different safety risks in the home, and that was really great. I did foster care for another organization, so similar work. And then an opportunity came about to run the internship program at Say Yes. And it was something that I hadn't done before. I ended up being hired for not the student-facing role, but the employer-facing role. So it was like a complete 180 for me, being in the business community most of the time and, not being with the kids. Scariest decision I made, but it was probably the best because I actually love it. I think there's a need for people to be in these spaces and to not just speak about like DEI just as a business case or a buzzword, but like from lived experience and expertise, and not being afraid to have the hard conversations because there's a lot of them to be had. And it just progressed from there. And then I became the business partnerships manager for our apprenticeship work. And then not so long after that, director for all of our workforce initiatives. So I'm not a big like 5-year plan type of person. I kind of I'm very big on experiences and whatever feels right, I just move in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great word of advice for everybody listening is that, sometimes you need to just go on that gut instinct. Yeah. And, it sounds like you have a great support system there as well. Yeah. So do you have a coach there that you're working with or any type of mentorship kind of things that you've put in place for yourself?
So I have like several supports. So like an outside group of colleagues who do similar work who, we keep each other encouraged to like share what's working for each other and, just provide a shoulder. It's super important. I've done a ton of professional development programming. And there are some that have been like super helpful. So I recently did the Institute for Nonprofit Practice, which is new to Western New York.
Okay.
Highly recommend. It's a really great program. And I was able to form a cohort with some incredible women in the community who have really helped me transition because I was in that program as I transitioned into this role. For women of color who are looking for a PD, there's You Can't Fail. It's based out of, I think, Auburn, New York, but it's virtual. It's incredible. And I have a really great team. We are very supportive of each other. Hold each other accountable. We check in with each other constantly. And I have an amazing supervisor and our CEO who I'm sure you've heard of him. He's like best in class for how he leads. So there's been a ton of support during my career journey, and it continues to grow, which is very helpful.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think I still have people who I, formed those relationships with 20 years ago that I
Mhm.
still just I pick up the phone and have a quick chat if I'm trying to either, think through a uh, a way to maneuver a conversation or some sort of situation. So it's good to hear that you have that much support, because I think it's just so important. And it's not something that everybody has in their life or their workplace.
Right.
And that I just think is going to help really, breed success for yourself, and
Mhm.
hopefully encourage others to find that same support system.
Absolutely, it's critical. I tell everyone, even because someone recently asked me about professional development opportunities, and I said it's more about finding your people than it is even is for PD, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
because the mentoring and that happens informally from those networks, you can't really put a dollar amount on them.
yeah, I agree. I really do. So speaking of mentors and people in your life, your second chapter bookstore,
Hmm.
and you gave us a quick intro there, with your mom. What's your mission for the community with your bookstore?
So we're trying to create spaces for like shared learning, and celebration of Blackness, and really trying to promote community through reading. So in addition to our bookstore, we host these events. They're kind of like, I say, like an elevated book club experience with no strings attached. So we select a book, and we create this event and we sell tickets. So people buy a ticket, they get the book in advance, they get a new copy to read or not read. So a lot of times they don't, but that's fine. So we send the book in advance, and when they come, there's like cocktails, there's catering, a lot of times there's a DJ, and then there's a facilitated discussion. So sometimes it is like a panel. The last one we had a marriage and family therapist who led the session. So I'm just trying to build community and really elevate the Black experience, and invite people to join us in that.
That's amazing. And if
Yeah.
you're comfortable with it, I'll put a link to your website in the show notes.
Oh, no, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is one thing that I've come to really appreciate, especially over the past few years, is just truly what the community is in Buffalo. The way that people want to come together just to help one another.
Yeah.
It's just it's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's been great so far. We started in January and it's busier than I expected, but that's a good thing.
That's great. That's awesome. How can I help? How can anyone listening to the podcast help either say yes Buffalo, help with second chapter bookstore, help in the community? What are your thoughts on some ways that either myself or anybody listening can help get further involved to help the youth in our community?
Yeah, so for Say Yes, we are currently accepting mentors for our mentoring program. You can find the application on our website. So just anyone who graduated college and wants to give back to a young person, for about 18 months, believe the commitment is. We're actively recruiting. There are ways to volunteer with some of our other programming as well for any like organizations listening. There's ways to sponsor programming with like our community schools initiative. Any employers listening, we're actively recruiting for our third cohort for our apprenticeship work. So looking for employers in advanced manufacturing, IT, and business operations. And as far as our bookstore, they can just shop with us and share the information on their social media. That would be great. But yeah, we host events pretty frequently, and we update our inventory about once a month with new books. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think I'm glad to hear you mention technology and engineering. There's I think holistically, those STEM careers, especially for women,
Mhm.
getting them interested in that career sector at a younger age and showing some of the fun things that you can do and keeping them interested and being path to that as a career path is something that's really important and lacking as a whole for that vertical.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Have you seen any positive signs in the Buffalo hiring sector as far as furthering equity and inclusion? Have you seen any, really positives that we can take away from like the past couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've seen more employers willing to have the conversation and wanting to know how they can move the needle forward within their organizations. In our youth apprenticeship work, all of our employer partners go through, we have like a suite of racial equity learning opportunities, and they all, despite whatever they're doing for DEI within their own organizations, they still come to those and have the conversations. And we're always, as a cohort, looking at ways to, create more equitable policies and not just with our program, but also just how they hire and recruit young people for their entire organization. So I see more people willing to have the conversation, and we're all about those who are willing,
Yeah.
And I think that's really a great sign. And I have a lot of hope for not just our apprenticeship work, but workforce for young people in general.
Yeah, and I think Buffalo as a whole is kind of is being seen in a new light, especially with some of the tech areas
Mhm.
and healthcare as well. I would say are two things that I've seen. So hopefully that also helps to expand youth development and opportunity within those two areas that seem to be growing for our local community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Stephanie, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed hearing more about Say Yes and the mission you have um, within that organization. I love hearing how supportive your teammates are, and I think that's a good takeaway for everybody is to find that core circle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And hey, we're here to help. So I'm probably gonna actually catch you offline if you don't mind about possibly being a coach and any
Oh,
mentorship.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love
Thank
to
you.
yeah, I'd love to get involved a bit more. So thank you for being here. We're gonna put some links in the show notes, but uh, Stephanie, thank you for the work that you're doing for our local community and for youth development. I think it's just such an important topic, and thank you for being willing to have those difficult conversations with employers.
Oh,
It's needed, and I'm really excited about the work that you're doing help to just help support the community and young folks and everybody that can definitely downstream will feel the benefits.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Producer Ken, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it.
You got it.
All right. Stephanie, I hope you have a great evening. Thank you again for being here. And I'm going to check out that restaurant.
Okay. All right. You won't be disappointed.
Uh, yeah, if you're looking for a good one a little bit closer to my side of the area, the Red Osier. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Red
I've
Osier.
never heard of it.
Yeah, so it's in Stafford, and they have a beautiful outdoor patio and live entertainment, and just it's a really nice place just to go have some, maybe a cocktail or they're known for their steaks.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. If you make it out this way, let me know. I'll meet you out there.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks again,
All right.
Stephanie. I really
No
appreciate your
problem.
time.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.